The new Taken Root update is officially out now, everyone, which also marks the beginning of Don't Starve Together's newest story arc, From Beyond. Now, we've already covered every inch of this dang thing throughout the month, but I imagine many of you saved yourself until its full release, so let's do us all a favor and have a little recap, yes. Besides, there's actually a lot to digest in an otherwise small release of content that will mostly be seen by anybody who has killed the Celestial Champion and or have tweaked the fresh world settings here. Or both, actually, as we can also mess with a rift spawning habits every which way to Sunday regardless. But what do these rifts entail, you ask? Well, not too much at first, as they actually need quite a long time to grow, as you can see. And factor in how every rift has 3 stages to it, and chances are you won't be seeing them until they're expanded. Sort of like what you see here. Be mindful though, if you do stumble upon an early terror in space and time, their expansions actually hurt you. And to add insult to injury here, once a fully grown rift despawns in about 10 days, even their collapsing is going to damage a player if they happen to be nearby. But let's talk some specifics here. Yes, when we don't find a rift on our own accord, the game will literally warn us once it reaches full power by not only flashing our screens with a white light, but also giving us a very noticeable map marker for the thing. Upon arrival though, you're going to see plenty of these. Grazers. They are a new mob that will multiply as a rift expands and are not only activated by proximity to the player, but can be sneakily deadly. Their auras cause grogginess and eventual sleep, which leads them to taking a bite out of us at 50 damage a hit. Worst part, they themselves are practically invincible. Once they reach a certain hit points, they crumble only to fully regenerate moments later, and while teleporting them to circumvent this is indeed an option, I really wouldn't bother. For you see, not only do rifts despawn eventually themselves anyways, all we truly need from them this early are their riftstals. These unique formations will start popping out even when a rift's just at level 2 and can be mined for some crafting materials. Be warned however, attempting to do just that with anything but a pickaxe or weather pane will be a pain in and of itself. But it will be worth it, as this pure brilliant stuff is about to be hugely important. After we discuss the real power of the rifts, that is. Folks, say hello to Deadly Brightshade Gestults and their ability to turn saplings, grass, berry bushes, and more into lethal lunar leaves. Now this portal event kicks off every other day for the most part, generating 1 to 3 bright shades each, meaning we'll also have 1 to 3 deadly bright shades to handle as well. Thankfully though, they are now easier than ever to kill since the beta, with their tunneling vines not only having a safe weak spot now, but a whole new equation to their damage reduction. In short, while they will still reduce our damage when using non-bright shade gear, and heck, even with bright shade gear, they still just take more damage now, so earning their 2 bright shade husks and more won't be too much of a problem. But before we do talk the good stuff, note that these deadly bright shades also persist following a rift, so that could get interesting. But yes, now the stuff we couldn't stop talking about all damn month. Bright shade gear, crafted at a bright smithy, which in turn is crafted at any celestial crafting station. They number in the half dozens and cost both pure brilliance and them bright shade husk we mentioned. Start putting it all together though, and things do get interesting. Save for the armor here to start. Not only will each piece help reduce the damage of all lunar aligned mobs and bosses, its set bonus increases the melee damage of all bright shade weapons by 10%. But hold up, Beard, what I'm seeing is actually more than 10% of 68, so what gives? Ah yes, the set also throws in an extra 5 planar damage to boots. But hold up times 2, what the heck is planar damage? Well, it's armor piercing essentially. Take for example a Bright Shade Sword's 38 base damage actually dealing 68 overall. And that's due to its 30 planar damage a hit at 200 uses. And I know, it's a little confusing, especially when deadly bright shades themselves also have and deal planar defense and damage, so do yourself a favor and watch this to catch up, yes, as we need to continue with the Bright Shade Smasher and its 600 uses as a tool that can both hammer and mine stuff, while simultaneously dealing a decent chunk of damage itself. Bright Shade Bombs though, crafted at 6 apiece mine, Mind are truly the biggest chunks of our Bright Shade damage outputs out there at 200 a blast. You just gotta mind where you throw them is all. The Bright Shade Chouvel is a 250 use multi-tool once more, only this time we can both shovel and till with the thing. And finally, the Bright Shade Staff deals 10 damage a blast at 50 uses total, but can jump between 5 to 7 targets depending on whether or not we are wearing the Bright Shade armor set, as you can see. Make notes, but also realize that all Bright Shade stuff deals more damage to all shadow aligned mobs and bosses in this game, which is going to be very important moving forward, I imagine. And while all of that is indeed all of the Taken Roots update, there are actually a few final mentions that may have gotten lost in the leaves, especially with how many hotfixes there were. But punching bags are now a thing at science and magic stations, and will now allow for us to see just how much damage we truly will be doing at the end of the day, even to planar defense-having mobs. Speaking of, Dreadstone Armor returned to the fold to receive some planar defense itself, and may even be more efficient in that regard than the Bright Shade gear. Wilson's received the Lunar Innovator skill here, meaning they can now deal more damage to nightmares, plus craft some lunar materials via transmutations, including the new Pure Brilliant stuff. And finally, both the Nightmare Werepig and the second phase Ancient Guardian are both shadow aligned, so enjoy some extra damage here and there, if you will. As there you have it, everyone, from Beyond's first of 3 major updates to come, Taken Roots. And while that is all fine and dandy, I highly suggest heading to this post yourself, as we have also got 10-year celebration nonsense, a sweet animation to go along with the content that we will soon be reacting to and breaking down eventually, and even a sneak peek at the shadow side of all this Rift nonsense as well, which just so happens to be part 2 of From Beyond. Link below. But thanks for watching, folks. Well wishes to all. Have your shears handy, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.